What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We're back again with another YouTube video, and today we're gonna have a bit of a discussion on my first impressions when it came to doing an interview with EDP and interacting with him for the first time. You know, being someone who used to be a massive fan of his and you know, started noticing all the terrible stuff he's been doing. I mean, I obviously saw the Czech Goldstein video when it was coming out. It was like the biggest thing on the internet, and being someone who used to watch him pretty avidly, like I used to watch kind of all his videos, all his rants, and I enjoyed him quite a lot. So being able to interview him was kind of an interesting position for me. That's not saying I'm still a huge fan of him. I genuinely don't like him, if you guys couldn't tell by my YouTube channel at this point. But you know, a lot of you guys find this whole topic kind of interesting, like his psyche and how people actually feel about him. So I might as well talk about it today. So I kind of got to take you guys all the way back to my old channel when I started doing EDP videos in the first place. It's never was like that. I started off doing gaming, then I switched into commentary, then I switched into reaction content, and then I fully stayed in commentary content because a lot of you guys started liking it, and I noticed I actually enjoyed it a lot more, talking about current day topics and stuff like that. And I saw someone talk about how EDP made a video talking about him being set up during the Czech Goldstein thing. So I remember I watched it originally. I was like, I gotta talk about this on my YouTube channel, right? And so I made a video kind of reacting to it and breaking it down and saying how awful it was. Essentially, the whole point of the video was EDP explaining how he was actually set up and there wasn't any like 13-year-old girl or, you know, any ill intention. And instead, it was Wavelake Production bringing him in for a interview slash improv session, where apparently the improv session was he was being accused of being a predator, and this was supposed to be for some up-and-coming movie. He used some Obama AI to interview him. Not only that, but he also used some of the worst photoshopped emails I have ever seen. The dude literally forgot to crop out so much stuff, and so I made a video, you know, talking about it, and it obviously did pretty good view-wise. And I enjoyed making videos like that. And this was around the time when I was making exposed videos on other like creeps and weirdos. So it's not like I was grifting to doing EDP content. But from there on out, I was doing more EDP content essentially because I was really interested in this guy's psyche and how much of a bullshitter he is. And it eventually came to a point on my channel where I asked my audience at the time if they wanted to see me interview him, right? Because I saw that he was doing interviews on his website for like $100, except I made it very clear in my videos that I did not want to pay him $100. I didn't want to pay him anything. So I actually reached out to him on Instagram underneath one of his posts, and I said, hey man, if you feel like you're so innocent, if you're so cocky about how innocent you are, how would you come into an interview and prove it? And he essentially said something like, fuck your interview, or, you know, I'm not doing it. So I reached out to him directly in the DMs, and he actually did respond and said, you know, screw your interview, I'm not doing it. But after a bit of discussion and some back and forth that was kind of aggressive on both of our parts, he eventually agreed to doing the interview, but for $30. I was arguing tooth and nail to do it for free, but of course, knowing EDP, he wasn't going to do it for free. And at that point, again, this is 100% my fault, right? I'm taking the blame for this. I already hyped it up a bunch, right? I talked about it a bunch on my YouTube channel. So I was at a point where I couldn't back down and I just had to pay him to do this interview. However, I saw the red flags immediately when it came to EDP, not only from just talking to him and realizing how narcissistic and out of touch he was, but he instantly started pushing the biasness of this interview. He told me straight up I couldn't ask him any hard questions, and you know, I couldn't ask any questions that are BS. And he never explained what that meant, but all he said was that he was just going to leave, right? He was just going to take the $30 and leave because he wasn't going to do the interview until he got the $30. Right? So essentially I was put in a corner where either A, I cancel this interview and a bunch of people on my YouTube channel get mad at me, which is probably was the right decision during that time, especially since when it comes to an interview, you can't be put underneath biases like that, right? You should be able to ask whatever you want. And so I end up just doing the interview, and it wasn't very good, right? Like, there's still a re-upload somewhere on the internet. I'm not going to repost it because I genuinely didn't like how it turned out. I wasn't really able to ask the questions I wanted to in fear that he was just going to leave and it's going to be like a 20-minute long interview. But so I didn't really get to ask what I wanted, right? We didn't get much new information. We caught him in a couple lies, but it wasn't enough to make the interview actually worth it. And by the end of it, I was just kind of dissatisfied with it, and I made a video talking about it, in which he actually saw. He went to my YouTube channel, and he was very hurt about how I felt about the interview, and he saw how I actually felt about him, and you know, he ended up blocking me and then unblocking me, and then, you know, we never talked again, right? But given from that whole entire experience, I've obviously learned a lot when it comes to interviews. Obviously, never put yourself underneath any sort of biasness. When it comes to interviews in the future, it's going to be on my own accord. It's going to be under my own policies, right? I want to ask the questions I want to ask without being put under restrictions, or else I'm just not going to do an interview in general, right? And I kind of learned from that past EDP one, and that really goes to show how narcissistic he is, right? He's only willing to do an interview / debate if it's under his circumstances, and if he's, you know, getting paid. Like, this guy's such a massive narcissist. And don't get me wrong, right? He was pretty funny in the interview. He was cracking some jokes, right? And if you didn't think he was a predator or a terrible human being, I can understand why he became as popular as he is, because the dude is fairly charismatic. But that doesn't change the fact that he's still a narcissistic, out of touch douchebag. Like, the guy, even though he quote-unquote apologized, he can never actually accept for what he did, and he can never actually fully take accountability. You know, even to this day, he still blames everyone else, which is insane, right? And that's why when people ask, do you guys think EDP is going to change? I always say no, right? I know there is, you know, previous predators and other criminals who have gone through some sort of rehabilitation, and they're actually good people now and full citizens, and they've gotten the help they need. EDP is not one of those people. His brain just cannot, right? Like, look at his kidneys, right? He has kidney failure for the last like 2 years, and it's only getting worse because he's only getting worse, right? He keeps eating junk food. He keeps stressing himself out. You know, it's getting worse for him. And instead of taking accountability and controlling his diet, he's only getting fatter. He's only getting sicker, right? And same with him being a predator, right? Instead of taking accountability, fixing himself, and possibly having it shot back at YouTube, he decided to groom another minor, continues to do the same garbage things, continue to make the same mistakes that he quotes he only did when he was in a dark place 2 years ago. You know, he still does not take accountability to this day. However, he still wants to reap the benefits of being on YouTube. It's absolutely insane. But anyways, the takeaway from this video is I think he's a massive narcissist, and me personally, don't get yourself involved with him. I know a lot of you guys already do message him. He's pretty easy to get a hold of, right? It's not like trying to get a hold of a big YouTuber nowadays. You literally can message him on Instagram. He'll probably get back to you. That's literally how lonely he is. But at the end of the day, just don't associate yourself with EDP445. He's just a massive narcissist, and I don't need to be the one to tell you guys that. He is a dangerous human being, and he clearly is insane, right? But anyways, that's my YouTube video. If you guys like this video, leave a like, subscribe. Also, if you guys want to join the Discord, the link will be in the description down below. And as always, guys, I'll see you in the next YouTube video.